So I've been talking to a couple of my friends about this Cassie and Diddy thing, and they're telling me that I'm being very judgmental,
Oh my God.
and I really don't think I am. You know, so just give you a background. You
Okay.
got Cassie, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
19, a teenager, right? She meets Diddy. He's 37. He's supposed to, help her with her career, sign her to whatever, bad boy, UMG, whatever the freak he got going on, or had going on, right?
Right.
And so this is essentially her boss. And now you start fucking your boss. And 37 is a real old person to a teenager. Because remember,
Seriously.
she's 19. I don't care. She's a young adult. She's a teenager.
She's a
Okay?
baby compared,
So all this is, yeah, compared to this 37-year-old man with all these kids, right? She's 19.
Right.
So, at some point in their relationship, he wants to get an apartment for her. So he takes her parents along with her to go see this apartment she's going to move into that he's paying for. Apparently, her parents were fine with this. People are
Yes,
saying,
obviously.
you don't know if they was all right with it. Well, if they weren't all right with it, why did they go? Now,
Right.
so parents are idiots too. I
You're right.
know damn well if I was 19, I know damn well if I was 25 and the man was 40 or even 37,
Right.
a very rich man, my parents would not be impressed because he can get in an apartment for me. First of all, my mother would have been in my ear like, girl, you better have your own apartment that you're paying for.
Right.
You are becoming, don't you ever be fully dependent on anybody, man, woman, dog, anything, anybody. That's what my parents would have been telling me, especially my mother.
Right.
If I went to my mother's sister, my dear aunt, rest in peace, Aunt Loretta, at 19, I got this 37-year-old millionaire puff daddy gonna buy me or rent me an apartment. You know what? My aunt would not have said one word to me. You know what she would have did? She
What?
would have gave me the look.
Oh, yeah.
My aunt had a look. I'd rather her beat the shit out of me than to give me this fucking look she had. And she didn't spank her kids. My mother fucked us up. Not that she was abusive. I'm just saying my mother, she give you an
Right.
ass whooping. My
Get up in
aunt,
that
she
ass.
didn't have to do that. She just give you the look.
Oh
And
God.
it's a look that just burns through your soul. That's why I'd rather get ass whooping from her. But that's what I would have got from my aunt. I would have got the look. And then she would have turned around and walked out the room.
Wow.
Without saying a
Effective.
word.
Very effective.
So her parents are idiots. Her parents, I guess, were blinded by the money. And as well as Cassie. So let me fast forward real quick. We do know at some point she left him. Just a few years ago, 2018, 2019 or something like that, right? After being in a relationship with him for over 10 years, right? She left him. My thing is,
sorry.
the same way she left him for good a few years ago, why didn't she leave him when he was like, yo, ma, let's do this freak off. A freak off, Diddy? What's that?
Oh God.
That's when you get on the computer and you get some, some brothers with some big black dicks. And you let them run a train on you and let me watch and masturbate and record it. But you gotta have on some lingerie and paint your fingernails white. Why she didn't get up and leave him at that moment, if that's not what she was into, if that's not what she wanted to do. The same way she
Exactly.
left him a few years ago, she could have left him just the same at that point. The first time he slapped her, hit her, physically assaulted her, she could have left him that time the same way she left him a few years ago for good. So people say, well, you don't know, you don't understand why, you don't understand why they stay. No, I don't understand why Cassie stayed. You want to know why? You ain't had no baby for this fool, and you wasn't married to him. You had no ties. I can understand the difficulty of trying to leave an abusive relationship when you got kids, especially if the kids love their daddy. I can understand why someone would stay longer than they should have. I get that. I get that somebody who stays, even if they don't have kids, they just married. You're hoping you can work this out. You took your marriage vows seriously, for better, for worse, in sickness
Right.
and in health. I can understand you staying and trying to work it out just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, and then some more. I get that. But if you ain't got no kids and you not married, what you staying for? The lifestyle?
Money. Status.
He beat your ass and buy you a Jaguar, and that's all right with you? It took you 11 years to see that none of that shit matters and it's not worth it? Took you 11 years. So I'm being called judgmental. Well, have you ever been? Yes, I've been in a situation twice. Once when I was about 16, I was dating this guy from Brooklyn. He lived right across the street from Prospect Park. I remember once we were walking and we was talking about something, and I just know I can't remember the conversation. I just know I said something and he punched me in my arm. And I was like, ow. And that right there, it was dead. It was over. Really just that quick. He punched me in my arm because I said something. And that's how it
That was
starts.
an indication of what was going to come in the future.
Yeah.
You're smart.
Next thing you know, he was going to punch me in my face.
Exactly.
And I was 16 and had that much sense. The second time was with this other guy. And man, oh, that's a whole story in itself. I guess we got time.
I got time for the matter. Tell it.
So I knew this guy since he was 14 and I was 12. Actually, he was a nephew of one of my very dear friends. And we were dating back then. We used to kiss a lot. That's all we ever did. And then fast forward to like 1998, I believe. It was 98. We finally really got together. And, we would just talk a lot and everything. And he would always be on my computer, right? All night he on the computer, I'm sleeping. And I'm talking about he be on that computer all night long. So I was wondering what he was doing on the computer. So I go to Marguerite's house one evening after 9 o'clock, right? I get on the computer and I find him in the chat room. Because, when I started wondering what he was doing on the computer, I looked and see where he was going or whatever. And so I found him in the chat room and I start talking with him. Now he don't
Oh,
know it's
wow.
me. I'm trolling him. I trolled the shit out of him. So I'm like, yeah, I want to get with you. Where you live at? He's like, oh, I'm in East Orange. I was like, for real? I live in Jackson Heights. I'm on 90th Street. He was like, yo, I'm on 110th. And I was like, why don't you come on over?
Wow.
And I said, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I said, here's my address. So he wrote it down on a sticky notepad that I had in my living room on the coffee table, right? So I get off Marguerite's computer and I come home. Don't act like nothing. So 7 p.m. the next evening comes. Well, prior to that, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with Dougie and them. We going to Flushing or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, really? So he leaves, and I guess he goes to that address, and then he calls me because now he's suspicious, wondering if I did something. And I was like, hey, what's going on? He's like, nothing. And, he's kind of laughing. I'm like, what y'all doing? And he's like, oh, we just da-da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, okay, well, have a good time. Hung up the phone. So a little while later, he comes through the door, and he's looking at me. And, I'm cool. I got a real good poker face. If I don't want you to know what I'm thinking, you'll never know. And so I'm acting like, everything's cool. I don't know nothing what he was just doing. So he sits down next to me and we watching TV and talking. So now here we go.
Before you continue, I want to say this is some good stuff. This is a good behind story. I just had to say that. I'm shutting up and I'm muting myself.
So we sitting down watching TV in the living room. Sticky notepad still on the table, right? So I pick it up, and it was the imprint of the address he wrote. So that original sticky that he wrote the address, that's not there, but the imprint is there. So I pick it up and I look. I said, what is this? So I get the pencil and I shade it so the address comes through. I was like, whose address is this? He starts getting upset. And I'm like, did you go visit somebody? You out here doing something or whatever? And now the argument moves into a kitchen. It's a little U-shaped kitchen. This is an apartment, right? So I'm walking towards him. He's backing up in the kitchen till he gets to the wall. He can't go no place. Next thing I know, he grabs me around my neck and starts choking me. There's a butcher knife on the counter. And he's choking me. He's not letting go. Just thank God at some point he let go and I didn't have to stab him in his heart. Right then and there, he knew. He got his shit and left. Next thing I know, his grandmother's calling me. She's about 88 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, couples, when I was married, me and my husband used to fuss all the time. And, you just work things out. It's just a little spat. I said,
Wait. She said it like that? She said it like that? Oh, damn.
And choked. She said, what she said. He only choked you one time. That's all it takes, lady. What am I supposed to do? Wait for him to choke me to death the second time? So I said all that to say, in terms of Cassie, she stayed in it because she liked the lifestyle and she didn't want to give it up, or she wanted to get something out of it, which all has to come, it just all comes down to money. Now, am I mad that she got $30 million? Hell no, I'm glad she got that. I think she deserved it. But she also deserved every ass whooping he gave her after the first time. If she didn't, you know, it takes two. Don't tell me he forced you to do freak-offs. How? And maybe somebody is right. Maybe my friends are right, or whoever. I just don't get it. There's not no dude who can. Yo, Madamwhipass, you know, take these drugs, get high, some ecstasy. It's gonna loosen you up. And call some dudes with some big black dicks and let them run a train on you. Let me watch, baby. I'm just like, what?
That could never happen with Madamwhipass.
If you're into that, you know, I'm not knocking you if you are into that. But as far as Cassie is concerned, for me, if she wasn't into that, how do you allow somebody to get you into that? Am I making sense? Or is it just me?
You're making perfect sense. Here's a little quick input. He groomed her, of course, but I don't think he went from 0 to 60 that fast. I think he set her up, not directly, but got a lot of things in her mind before getting to that point, because you just don't go to somebody like that unless you meet them on that level and then you suggest it and they're down. Because, you know, I know a full range of different types of people who are into a different few types of things. Now, what kind of communication did she have with her parents? See? And where is her moral compass? Okay? Like, let me tell you something. It's almost like the story where they say every woman has their price. If I say, come on, let's go to bed with me. I'm going to give you $10. What kind of woman do you think I am? Well, here, I'm going to give you $1 million. Okay, time and place. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying that I'm not saying every woman is like that, but it could be a situation like that because he is the real thing. And also, fame is intoxicating. You got grown people who have a couple of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and you can't tell them anything. They're getting a rush from that. So for her to be at awards ceremonies down through the years, all over the media with him, of course, he's buying her all the clothes and the outfits. On one side, I'm not saying the bad part now. Let's not get that wrong. But on one side, that's a young girl's dream. And she's getting it. I mean, she's seeing the money being spent, the cars of luxury, the restaurants, the other celebrities that now know her because of Diddy. I'm not saying this is what she did, but it wasn't just, let me get you an apartment and now let me let you freak off. She was exposed to stuff before that, in my judgment. She may not have done things, but he knew what he was doing with her. And men like that, they get a joy from violating the woman. They get a joy from getting her to do things that normally she wouldn't do. So to me, he had her on a slow burn with this, right? Because Diddy, I don't know the guy. I know he's all over the place. He's famous all these decades, and you know he's hooked up in other things, aka Clive Davis. So he's getting it from the top. So That being said,
Ain't giving
you
the
don't
top.
think? Whoa. Oh, yeah, exactly. And I don't mean the top like I'm saying that's the top of the epitome. That's the bottom, but that was a slick one. Quick thinking, madam. but here it is. It's like the guy who is engaged to be married, and his future wife feels that he is so faithful that he's not going out there and doing anything, and she's holding out until marriage. And she's saying to herself, I'm going to make sure that in all facets of our marriage, he's going to be happy and satisfied. Now, this is a marriage now. There's certain things I never did to a man, but that's my husband, and he deserves it because he's faithful. Now, I'm not saying Cassie said that Diddy was faithful. What I'm saying is that engaged man who appears to be faithful and he's waiting just for his wife, he's getting his nutsack emptied out every other day by a few women that he has on the side. So he can appear to that woman that he's engaged to be so faithful. So I don't think he rushed her in the stuff, but he groomed her and buttered her up while he was doing stuff with other people because he has access and been doing this stuff, even before we were aware that he was doing that stuff. In that entertainment world where bisexuality is almost mandatory, right? Or just straight up gay. So now he's beating her up, not beating her up the way we saw in the video, but he's beating up her moral compass by having her around things. He may not be doing stuff in front of her, but having her around and getting her used to it, getting her acclimated to these type of things, picking her brain. Yeah, how'd you feel? You saw what was going on. How'd you feel about that? And he takes his time and moves the goalposts. And all of a sudden, because let me tell you something, a real woman who knows herself, remember she's 19 years old and the parents agreed for her to get the apartment. They know about money. They compromise. Look, why are you spending money, that kind of money? I don't care if it was a room for $500 a month. Why are you spending this kind of money on my daughter? And what kind of power are you trying to yield over her? You see? And so she felt indebted. Now, I don't know what level of proportional percentage she felt indebted to Diddy, but she damn sure knew without him saying, and this I feel, that if I don't comply with what he wants, I'm going to lose this life that now I'm dependent on him for, because she didn't have anything before that of note. She's dependent on him for all that she's been intoxicated by. Her supply now has become Diddy and only Diddy. And so what's she gonna do? Look at all I got now. That can't be that bad. I'll satisfy him. He got me the apartment. He got me the clothes and the cars and the status and the fame. And they're talking about me in the gossip rags. And I know all of the stars. I can't lose this. Nobody else knows. He did all this stuff for me. I ain't gonna tell my parents, but what's sucking a couple dicks and getting drilled by he's very specific. He'll be happy, and I'll get more stuff out of him. See, the younger girls that don't know anything, I don't care if her father was worth $500,000 or whatever. It ain't that Diddy money, which is dirty. And for her to be so young, she's more impressionable. Imagine you, Madamwhipass, who is a bit older than her. You ain't going for that. You wasn't going for the punch in the arm at 16 years old. Go back to the parents. Were they honoring money and fame? Oh, yeah, Diddy? And they're bragging on the phone to their friends. Yes, Diddy's going to buy my daughter an apartment. That's basically saying, okay, whatever he does, it's okay, because my parents are happy with this arrangement. And if I mess it up, what am I going to do? So I'm not saying she deserved any bad treatment, but she has to be accountable. What percentage? I don't know. And I want all the people who are listening to tell me what percentage was she accountable for? Because if you don't walk through the door, then you're safe. She decided to allow this to keep on going, and that wasn't out of nowhere. See? And it was wrong what he did to her. Understood. And you should know when to back out. Like you did at 16 years old. A 16-year-old Madamwhipass had more sense than Cassie, the mother, the father, because Diddy couldn't have
Put
done
together.
what he did. Exactly. Exactly. And when that guy choked you, why didn't you call me? Because we knew each other for 5 years at that time. You should have called me.
Yeah. I know.
I fault you for that. Forget the cops. You know I'm a nice guy, but something like that, I don't tolerate. I would have busted him up. I would have busted. I don't care if he was a giant. I would have busted him up. I'm 61 years old now. You can put me, but this version of me, and send me back into that time. I'd still bust him up. I might lose a step when I'm 82, but it ain't going to happen. Not around me. I don't like that. Don't let that happen again. I'll fly out here from West Africa to go find you. Well, I know ain't nothing going to happen, but even if they try, you'd be like, Lance, wait a second. What are you doing here? Where is he? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But his grandmother sure enough said that to me. He only choked you one time.
Well, she's an enabler, and she has a whole scroll of stories where she had her ass beat and abused, and you have to take it because you know he's doing this for you, and if he's doing this for you, you got to turn the other cheek and spread the other ones. You see, so see, I'm not saying all black women. But there are some black women who want you to defend them once things happen, but they clearly ignored what was so clear to see, what was so obvious, what was so evident. Now they want you to come to the rescue. Well, he's been doing something to you. He didn't just make that request. See, we got to understand the timeline here. And I can't say I know the exact timeline, but what we see and what we hear, Cassie, the first things, he was beating her, and he had her doing these things. What happened in between? Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. There's a whole lot more in between. And I believe she had ample time to use sense that was probably blinded because of the fame and the status and the money to get out. But that had to be such a drug. It had to be a drug to her. I'm not making any excuses, but she saw something coming, but she chose to stay.
Yep. And that's the key word. She chose. She chose to stay. That was her choice.
We're not saying
that
she
was a
deserved
choice
it.
she made that she didn't have any ties to make.
Right. Wow.
You know, again, if she had a kid or children, as long as she stayed in that situation, I could understand with children, but she had none of that. No ties. Yet there was a tie, a demonic tie. So, you know, they can call me judgmental all they want, but the truth is the truth. It takes two. I am not going to say Diddy is 100% wrong and she's at 0%. No, it takes two. And I ain't taking up for no damn Diddy. Understand, the other side of this for me is, how do you let a duck nigga do something like that to you? Because Diddy, look, remember that slang in the 80s, in the early 80s? He's call you a duck. I don't fuck with them duck niggas over there. Those niggas over there are ducks. That's Diddy. That is supreme duck nigga to me. Have you seen Diddy when he first came on the scene? Did you see his grill? His mouth was fucked up. How do you let this dude with a fucked up mouth, I don't care if he got money and got that shit fixed, how do you let this duck nigga, how are you a bottom bitch to a duck? Because that's all she was. He made her his bottom bitch. That's no different than pimping her out. How do you that's like you letting Urkel make you his bottom bitch and he pimping you out. That's what it looks like to me.
Did I do that?
Yeah. For money. For fame. For walks on the red carpet. For a record deal. For a career that didn't even go no place. She spent more time fucking and sucking than she did making music and music videos. What's wrong with this picture? At what point did she say, hey, I got into this situation, I got into this contract, I got into this relationship to further my music career. But I'm on my knees and getting a train ran on me for several days at a time, and I'm getting drugged up. What's wrong with this picture? It took her 11 years to say, what's wrong with this picture? 11 years? I can see if it took you 11 days, hell, maybe even 11 weeks, but 11 years? I just can't with people. I can't. So if I'm judgmental, I guess I'm just judgmental.
Well, I'll tell you.
But none of my nieces, none of my relatives will ever be able to be sucked in some bullshit like that. And there's no elder, there's no matriarch in my family right now who would allow that. Nobody in my family would be impressed if one of our relatives was dating Diddy, especially a 19-year-old relative.
Exactly.
With this old ass man. He's a dirty old man. And a duck nigga. With a lot of money. Look what a duck nigga can do who has a lot of money. And he's not all that good looking. $1 billion ain't did shit for him in terms of, you know, him being handsome. It ain't did much for him. Just made him look a little better, but he ain't really handsome. What did money do for Biggie? What did money do for Biggie? Nothing. Yet, Biggie dealing with Faith and Little Kim. No, damn well, if Biggie wasn't Biggie as we knew him, and he was just a fat, sloppy, dead-eye nigga standing on the corner selling crack, Faith would have never gave him a second look. Never. So, I just can't with these people. These people can just go on to hell. Cassie ain't all that innocent in this. Oh, but you saw her running and she didn't have any shoes on. Yeah, that was fucked up what Diddy did to her. And that was in the middle of a freak off. Not at that very moment, from what I understand, but like I said, the freak offs will go on several days. She tried to leave. The way we saw her running, trying to leave, that's the way she should have ran and tried to leave the first time he hit her. That's the way she should have ran and tried to leave when he presented her, let's have a freak off. Then I was thinking, hey, it should be easy for her to have gotten away in the beginning. I mean, this is Diddy. Call the cops or whatever. But they say he's rich, billionaire, got a lot of money, all this power, da-da-da.
Influence.
Whatever, niggas. I don't give a fuck what kind of money, power, influence you got. You will not make Madamwhipass be your bottom bitch. Fuck out of here. You ain't got enough money to pay me to do some shit like that. I don't care if you're a billionaire. Put your hands on me. I might whoop your ass 1 billion times.
It would have been him up and down on the floor in that hallway if he put his hands on Madamwhipass. Look at the very name. He would know not to touch you.
Mm-mm.
Let me add something in on what you said about being called judgmental. I'm not saying this because you're my dear sister for so many decades. But judging is when you don't know. Judge the distance from where you're standing to the wall. Oh, I think it's about 12 feet, maybe 11.5 feet. Maybe you can judge something and come close. But the fact of the matter is, you really don't know. See, you're not judgmental. You assessed the situation. It's like algebra. 1 plus blank equals 2. So you can take from
algebra,
the result.
but go ahead.
All right, it's yeah. What is it? I've been out of school so long. What is it now?
Arithmetic.
Well, it's arithmetic.
That's
but,
what that was.
Yeah. But there's a certain word for it. I forgot. You know, look, I at first grade stuff. But anyway, I need more gigabytes in my head. But anyway,
it's using logic. It's thinking logically.
Let me tell you something. The great lineage of Black women that you come from, that have passed the baton down on to you, that you actually had before you became one of them, because you know some sense. That's why in Prospect Park at 16 years old, you weren't going for it. What happened to that thing? Now, as far as the percentage between Diddy and Cassie, let's squeeze 2 other people into that percentage. What kind of mama did she have that she would allow this arrangement, which any grown person would feel is suspect? Okay, the only way that I might not feel is suspect about it, I'm still going to feel suspect about it, that is if he, with all of the artists signed to him, he got them an apartment, male and female. No matter who they were, this is part of the deal. I want you to have an apartment in the studio. I'm a billionaire out of my mind. Even if he was just a millionaire, multi-millionaire, I want you close. So when the inspiration hits you, anytime you go to the studio, you don't have to worry about paying. Anytime you don't go to the supermarket, you don't have to worry about buying food. This is for all of you. Just work out the times that you go to the studio. Have creative freedom. Now, that's the only time. And I would check out the other people who had the apartments from him, who he bought cars for, right? I would check out the situations and not ask them because they're not going to tell me. I would observe.
Check this out. Wait, let me just say this. Her apartment, he bought an apartment in New York and one in LA, and they were each like right down the street from where he lived.
Okay, that's obvious. That's obvious. Who else had an apartment that didn't open their mouth? She ain't the first one. Let's just put that on the table. Well, how you know, Lance? Come on. She ain't the first one. And maybe the others took abuse because it's like, shoot, I ain't going back to the south side of Chicago. I ain't going back to South Jamaica and Queens, New York. I ain't going back to Compton. You know what I mean? Girl, you better just take that.
I don't think Cassie came thing about it that makes it even more stupidly tragic is that she came from a 2-parent home out of Connecticut. I'm sure she came up in a decent neighborhood.
Right. Granted, let me tell you something. Excuse me. 2-parent household. How many parents were present? 2 physically. It could have been 35% collectively. Excuse my throat. Yep. I just had to say that. Just because you got 2 bodies there, you have some nondescript fathers, nondescript mothers that have no impact and influence on that child. So 2 parents, for me and for you and for somebody else, what's the overall percentage? You see what I mean? It's like tricking an employee to go from an hourly wage to a salaried position. Oh, I'm not hourly anymore. You mean I'm going to get this $100,000 without being hourly? I don't have to bust my behind. They trick you because now you got to stay extra. Now you got to stay overnight. Now you got to come in early. Now, you see what I mean? So what's the proportion? And people don't see it that way. Well, on paper, she has a 2-parent household. Maybe did she see the father abuse the mother? Maybe not physically, maybe verbally. Maybe the women that he was seeing around town, you know, I saw your daddy with that girl, man. She be out there sucking dicks. But we don't know those factors. But if she had even one mother and no father who was on fire, it wouldn't have went down. If she had a Madamwhipass as a mother and say there was no father, not to knock the good fathers out there, but I'm just making a point. Because you can live with one lung. You can live with one kidney. You can live with one foot. But you can't live and be groomed properly. The proper grooming, because groomed is a bad word when we think about it. But groomed is a good word when you have 2 parents who are vibrating at 100% capacity, that when they are really and truly together, they're not 100 and 100 to make 200. It's synergistic. It's almost like 2,500%. Because when you're really working together as parents and vibrating high, the influence that you have on that child's psyche and that mind from young, they got that little voice in their head, but they failed because they didn't step into that situation as a father. As a father, I would have had to have that conversation with Diddy. As a father, my man.
Why listen. You buying my daughter an apartment, but you ain't buying her an engagement ring?
There you go. There you go. There you go. And not even just that. Since there's no talk of any union and any commitment, and we know how the entertainment field is, it's like the jazz world back in the 30s and 40s. They were all laying up with each other, 50s, even today. Just what's up with this? As a father, I'm going to tell you what it looks like. And as a father, I'm going to tell you what it's not going to be. Now, you got to convince me. Yeah, she's 19 years old and over the age of 18. But I don't care if she's 90. I don't care if she's 40. I'm her daddy. And I'm a real one. And I'm going to tell you straight up, even if you think of any foul play, don't worry about anything else except you closing your eyes for good. And I don't care. I'll go on down to the police station and turn myself in. That's what I'm talking about. You don't even have to say specifically what it is. Because a person like Diddy, he's a punk. He's a coward. Anytime you do something like that to a woman and you ain't going to step to no real man or be in the presence of a real man, you're going to hold it down where you don't let the people know what you are. But here it is. I'm going to tell you one more thing that I see in this whole situation. When you are a predator, when you are a narcissist, and you know this, Madamwhipass, I learned so much from you, but I'm going to spin it a different way. You check the grounds before you walk on them. You make sure that you see what you see. If he didn't see some type of dysfunctional opening to get in, he wouldn't have moved forward. Do you
For
think?
monkey know which tree for climb.
There you go. There you go. Let's. I really don't know at the top of my head many of those in Hollywood to just say, but okay. Look at Angela Bassett. Take her and make her younger again. Look, I don't think a Diddy would approach her if she was younger like that. Because with her, I can see that she had sense from young. There are many other people that we know who are famous that we know he would not even try that with. Even if they're older, but we know the younger versions ain't going for that. It's like me. People see me in the street.
He wouldn't have
I'm not a
got
tough
Janet
guy.
Jackson and be doing no shit like that.
That's what I'm trying to say. They size you up. They test you. I told you how oftentimes when I was driving the bus and I'm waiting to pull out, it might be 10, 15 minutes. So I'm standing outside talking with people and everything. And you have the guys that come out of prison. They come out of jail. And from when I worked in those places, I know a lot of them. And the first place they go, aside from a church with their new suit to bedazzle some of the gullible women who are looking for their Boaz, and all he wanted is your ass, they love to come downtown to the bus depot and station and watch the rhythm. I used to wonder why, like, yo, man, what you just hanging on? You've been here for like the last 8 hours. What's going on? And they smirk. Not a whole crew of them together, but separately. Let me watch this behavior. And then they would see a woman, 7:30 in the morning, 6:45 in the morning, and these guys are dressed up. And they see this woman minding her business with her headphones on. And he may walk over to her. Excuse me, do you know what bus I need to take to go over to Pine Hills? Or maybe a more affluent part of the town? And she's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Go over there and you transfer, whatever. Well, he's like, well, I'm a little early, so at least I know. Thank you so much. I do want to say your hairstyle looks really nice. And he leaves it at that. Then she sees him again the next day or 2 days later or whenever. And he says, I just want to thank you for. So what I'm saying is that he's spending the day working on 25 different women that pass through. And he's testing them now. He may get a little too close physically in their face. Not at first. And they don't say anything. He may have a cup of soda in his hand and hand it to her. Oh, could you hold this for me real quick? I'm going to run inside and... No, you take your drink with you. But okay. Knowing she's going to miss her bus. Oh, I can manipulate that one. The ones who Madamwhipass up on their ass, oh, I can't mess with her. So you drop them off the roster and work on some other ones. But there's always a few that they work on. That was out of all the apartments within a mile or two distance from Diddy's apartment, she wasn't the only one. That Negro got off on having a community of Panani within walking distance and freaking off with them and freaking off with them. I know how these guys think. Well, how you know, Lance? Are you one of them? No, I met a lot through my exploits who thought I might be one of them. No. I can name names of people you don't know, but I've known some characters. And I can't believe the gorgeous, beautiful, intelligent women that they pulled and kept in the web of their dysfunction. And I realized there was something off about these women. I'm not blaming them for any abuse, but they see the crack in the armor. No thief is going to try to break into your house unless he feels he can be successful with stealing everything out of it. Anything these people do, they well think it out. And they're good at that, testing you and feeling you out. It don't go down like that. Certain women will never have to go. Madamwhipass, well, if they say a stranger who got a mental problem try to punch you in the face, that can happen, right? But somebody you dealing with, I tell them straight up, you lying. I know her. She ain't tolerating that. She ain't tolerating that. And you mean that Negro ain't dead or cut up somewhere? Shoot. Her, 19, fresh out the oven? 10 years before that, she was 9 years old? And they sat with the parents, and he could look at the parents and triangulate now and see how they react with each other, and saw how they were bedazzled by his wealth. He probably took them out to dinner, probably paid a few of their bills on the sly. Here, Pops, take care of that car note. How much on the mortgage? Here, take care of that, man. Do the renovations. Okay. That's a silent message. And as a father, it's basically saying, take my daughter. You can do what the hell you want with her. Even if she did come crying. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Well, you know her daughter. I know he smacked you, and I know you saw him in the bed with those 2 other women, but you know you'd have to work so many years to get what you got. So, you know, give him a chance.
Just hold on to the relationship for a little while longer. I want to get a family vacation home.
There you go. He might not even say that out loud, but that's what it is. I blame the parents.
Just hold on for a little while till I get the new pool in the backyard. You could take another ass whooping about 2 or 3 more times. Hey, got this far, didn't you?
It's funny, but it's funny.
You got this far.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
You're still breathing, right? You living, bitch, right? You living? Let's hold on. I'll let you know when you can leave. Well, Daddy, you got the new pool in the backyard. You got the vacation home. Yeah, I'm working on a Maserati now. Wait till I get to my Maserati.
Well, you know, hold off a little bit because, you know, I got to pay off that child support from that love child you don't know about.
Mama wanted a full-length fur coat. Look, anyway, I gotta go. And,
I can talk like this for the next 6 hours with Madamwhipass. Everybody who's listening,
I got to go.
Gotta go. Where you gonna go? No, we want more Madamwhipass. For real. But I know you have to go. Hit me up later.
Yeah.
And this is a very enjoyable exchange, and I'm quite sure everybody will enjoy it. But it does raise some valid points. Once again, the great Madamwhipass, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Ooh,
I still think that other one we did was funny. Yeah, you were talking about peeing and stuff. That's how we started up with the last one. And you said you didn't think that was funny. Everybody listen, go and listen to that other one we did. That was, I had me cracking up. And you were just laid back, just saying it. But go ahead. Go ahead. I know you got to go. We'll talk later on.
I'll tell you, that's probably one of my least favorite videos. I don't see nothing funny about that.
Okay, before you can put it this way. You ever have a friend that you both like a certain actor or actress and they make movies, and one of the movies that you think they bombed on was actually the favorite of your friend? Like, what you talking about? The acting, the whole plot, everything was, man, that's one of the best movies. You're like, that movie flopped. That's you and me.
Yeah. You
think that wasn't much? The wit, the expression. See, you were in a different gear. That's why you probably felt that way. I think that was one of the, man, I was up in here, and I'm going to say it so people can understand. I was editing everything. I wanted to listen to it again, make sure the audio was right, and I was doing some graphics on the other computer. And I had to stop doing some of the graphics and just crack up and listen to it. I said, man, I can't believe it. It didn't even hit me as hard as when I was in the conversation. But when I listened to it, I was like, this is a classic. And you think I'm blowing smoke up your righteous backside. No, it's the truth. I know you in many facets, many ways. You used to call me up late at night. We go take little drives, be on the phone, you know, talking, whatever have you. And my ultimate joke that, you know, we slept together. Me and Madamwhipass slept together. And ain't nothing happened. Ain't nothing happened. We like sister and brother. Yeah. You slept together. No. I used to come over and watch the boxing matches because I can't say it's illegal, but the happy box that lets everything through, And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, oh, I'm too tired to leave out. I'd sit on the edge of the bed, we talk, fall out, wake up, there's Madamwhipass. You did it again. We slept together again. Oh, hell, I might as well just stay the whole day and we'll do it again tonight. Oh, man. Let me let you go. I know you have to go.
Those were the days.
But I always like to say the best days are ahead. Those days are sweet. The way life is, I know I'm not in America, but the best days are ahead. That's what keeps me going through all the crap that I've been through.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Look at my life through things I went through, having nervous breakdowns. And if I didn't really deep down believe it, I wouldn't be here in Africa in this customized home. I'm not into the materialistic. I'm just saying the possibilities are always there, so never give up, whoever you are. Remember the time when I was over your house and I had changed my phone number. I didn't want to have them kind of parties no more. I didn't want to be around them women no more. I changed the number of my beeper, and my beeper started going off with the new phone number, and nobody had it. I didn't even give it to you yet. That was some supernatural stuff, but what I'm saying is that there are things that are unseen that are more real than the illusions that you see. So never give up. Whatever you can put in your head and your heart, you can make it happen. Trust me. I'm durable, and I know that now. So anything get in my way, we steamroll it.
Yeah. Amen. All right.
All right. Okay.
I'm out.
Yeah. So hit me later. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Make sure to go to LANCESCURV.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LANCESCURV, trust me, you'll be back for more. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.
So, my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth.